Oh, hello. Lovely to see people joining me this afternoon, and it's such a great day. Please let me know where you're joining me from. Let me know some of your highlights of your weekend, obviously in the chat box, which I'm trying to get to grips how to use. And we'll wait a couple of minutes, and then I will start sharing my presentation with you. So I am based in Reading. And I have to say, this was probably one of the busiest weekends that I had the whole year because I had to join a friend for her wedding, another friend celebrate their birthday. So lots of things going on a personal level. And then obviously I'm a speaker now at the language show. So please let me know where you're joining me from, any highlights of the conference or personal highlights. I'd love to read them in a chat box. Just trying to get used to how to use it and so on. Oh, hi, excellent. Hello, Stella from Streatham. A bilingual English and Portuguese, really interesting. Any other multilingual, bilingual people in here? Just to make it clear from beginning, if you have any questions, obviously I'm doing the presentation by myself, please pop it into Q&A box or in the chat box. I'll try monitoring them both, and then towards the end of the session I will try to answer as many as I can. Might do that also like halfway if there are too many, if there are lots of questions. Anybody else would like to share any of their highlights? Hello from Portugal, from sunny Portugal. Excellent. Well, you're writing in English, so I would actually contradict that, and you're not bilingual. Ana Nunes, thank you very much for joining us. Let us know, how is the weather? How is the weather in Portugal? Which town? Teacher of English. There we go. So I would think you're bilingual. So that's a question that I'm going to address in today's presentation. Estonian native working in English. My daughter is bilingual, Estonian and Slovakian. How interesting, most interesting. Thank you very much. There's Curly. I apologize in advance if I have not pronounced your name correctly. So now I'm really jealous now, Anna. I love sunny weather. So I don't know whether you managed to read the biography. If you, like me, have been trying to coordinate your personal life and joining into conference. I was born in Romania. I came to the UK in 2004. I did not speak much English back then. I had finished university. I studied languages. My degree was in French. I worked for about 5 years in the UK, and then because of personal reasons, I moved to Spain, where I learned Spanish. I also worked in Belgium, in Brussels, for the schools in the European Commission. And then again, for personal reason, I came back to the UK in 2011, and I've been there since. So I'll check. Obi, nice to meet you, from London. I speak English and Igbo fluently, and learning Yoruba, Mandarin and Zulu. Oh, wow, well done. I am really jealous. I teach Igbo. I say hello. I can say hello, I'm hungry in Romanian. That is a very important phrase to say, I'm hungry. I'm so glad to see so many people joining in. And now, if you can say I'm hungry in Romanian, that would be fantastic, because I will be talking quite a lot about food. So far, we have 13 participants in our call. I will give it one more minute and I will start sharing my presentation with you. Me foame, exactly, me foame. I was wondering, why, but did you actually join the Romanian taster session? I know there was one on. Whether you've learned that there or in a different context. But anybody else? So we heard from a couple of people. I think anybody else would like to join in? I can tell you, it's probably one of the very first time, apart from COVID, when we used to do some lessons online, that I'm actually doing this presentation over the computer, and it's a totally different type of presentation, shall I say, because I think I do like human contact and I do like seeing people in the room, and not seeing your face is not being able to hear you. It's actually quite different. Okay, but I will leave that for another time. So I'm going to start sharing my screen and start my presentation. So you all had your reasons why you wanted to join this session on exploring children's multilingual identity through multimodal narratives. If just my mouse wants to listen to me. And up here, that'll be great. There we go. So from current slide. So if you have just seems a couple of more people have just joined, I'm just starting now. I've just talked a little bit about me because I think it's quite important in understanding this presentation and in understanding this project. So why did I want to focus on multilingual identity? That's going to be one of the topics, one of the points in today's presentation. And I will reveal that in the next slide. I'm going to set the scene and present you the researcher's perspective, because I am a teacher, but I'm also a researcher. Then I will introduce also the children's perspective and areas of growth based on the findings. And in the end, if you have any other questions. So this session is based on findings from a research project carried out in linguistically diverse schools in the southeast of England. The project was born from the need to promote cultural understanding and to give multilingual children a voice to express their multilingual identity. The project was run as part of the masters. The schools were situated in the south of England. And in the school I'm currently working at, there are 30 different languages spoken. And I focused on, because that was when I was the class teacher, I had 9 to 10-year-olds, which were kind of year 5 children. And as I was looking for a certain language pair, which I was trying to compare and contrast, whether I have selected children from 2 other schools. I'll give you more details about the children I present the sample, but most of the children from the school I worked at, and only 4 from different schools, they've chosen a purpose to establish differences between the language pairs. Now, why focus on multilingual identity and heritage? I have done a lot of reading, first of all, to justify, to understand why do I want to study that. But as you probably know, more than half of the global population speaks more than one language, and that puts the monolinguals in the minorities. But quite often, teaching practices do not take this into account. So they do need to adapt across the globe, and all teachers that actually work in multilingual classroom have reported that they feel their way. There is a lot of advice, but at the same time there is not enough or well structured so it can be easily accessed. Now, because you are joined this conference, you all know what the advantages of speaking more than one languages, or all the positive outcomes of speaking more than one language. But I would just like to underline a couple of them, which I think personally they're extremely important, and they will always be, because learning more than one language is probably, you haven't noticed, but does improve level of tolerance and open-mindedness. Of course, that's the second reason is, like, it's probably noticed by most of the people, it does enhance communication skills, which lead to better job prospects and increased social mobility, and also helps with conflict resolution. Now, I did say I'm going to present to you the researcher perspectives about bilinguals and multilinguals. The complexity of a neurological level for speakers of 2 or more languages is absolutely fascinating. I could not recommend you enough a book by this author called Costa, which has sadly passed away. It is a very interesting read because it does show how starting with the babies, children can make differences between, they will sort out in their heads the 2 or more languages that are spoken to them. A disadvantage probably of bilinguals or multilinguals would be that quite often when tired, they will experience interferences because they will be reflecting their speech and choice of words, because that will be occasionally affected by the other languages. If you were to actually imagine a bilingual or multilingual speaker as being a TV with multiple channels, when they have to project, they choose a certain channel, being, I don't know, French, English, Spanish, German, but at the same time, they have to block all the languages. They have to block them and just channel all the words, all the grammatical structures towards that. So I find it extremely fascinating and really, really interesting. Now, you will probably notice that in this talk, I will be using bilinguals and multilinguals terminology interchangeably. Researchers have pointed out that there are lots of similarities between bilinguals and multilinguals, but at the same time, there are also quite a lot of differences. The project that I've run in the school, and that's the one that I'm going to talk to you today about, I will use the word multilingual. So bilingualism, it'll be considered as a case of multilingualism, but just to clarify the terminology. Okay, so a little bit about the children that I have studied. So the children, the study samples, were people from my class and other classes in the schools, but they were all exposed to more than one language, regardless of the level of competence. They were viewed as bilinguals. And as I can already see a question that has just appeared in Q&A, I would like to just kind of check it. What is the name? I will type the answer right at the end. If there is anything else that you think, sorry, I think I just moved a little too fast, that doesn't make sense, please do point it out to me and do stop me. So anyone, I'll go back to this, anyone exposed to more than one language, regardless of the level of competence, is being viewed as bilingual. And I think somebody in the chat just popped in earlier. They said, oh, I don't think I'm bilingual. If you do speak more than one language, regardless of the level of competence, you will be considered by a researcher as a bilingual. Now, this project that I've done in my school, research project, it was run as a part of the master's degree and led by, with the help of Roehampton University and National College of Education. And if I'm sure lots of you have taken part in the conference, you have heard about the UCL, who will be looking about such action and research projects. So the reason why I wanted to study that, because I came across a lot of children that spoke more than one language, and I saw their struggles of trying to represent themselves, position themselves in the world, and trying to understand them process. How do they compare, and what their place actually is in the world? So I will tell you how I've actually grouped that information. So if you're actually looking at the table that I'm presenting, that I've presented to you, sharing with you, you will see that right at the top, I have two girls who speak Turkish, and further down, 7 and 8, another two children who speak Turkish. Now, why I put the first two girls at the top is because they attended like private schools. And one of my research questions was I wanted to see whether there is a difference in way the children represent themselves, whether they attend mainstream schools or independent schools, when we know there is probably more money and more time to do to invest, let's say, in languages, and languages are probably seen as something quite valued, whereas in state-funded schools, because there's so much to do, they quite often will tend to be pushed away. So I wanted to see whether there is a difference in the way the children represent themselves. So I have got a Turkish group. Then another way of grouping, for the sake of analyzing the data, was a group of children who spoke European, what I call European-based languages, like German or Romance language, Italian, Spanish and French. Then there is a group of Asian languages and a group of African languages. Now, a little bit more information. I'm just struggling a little bit with the moving on the presentation. My computer seems to have frozen. Right, Okay, so I know that's always very difficult to support children who speak such a huge array of languages within your classroom, and there is not maybe a lot of financial support from the government or from the schools. And what can we do as teacher, because we are agents in developing, in promoting multilingualism and in supporting the development of languages. I've got here a picture of a sports person. If you do know her name, please pop it in. And then if you can have a guess of why do you think I have included in my presentation this person, do please let me know. I'll be just monitoring the chat for a moment. Anybody has an idea who this person is and why have I included her in my presentation? Stella, thank you very much. You do know, yes, she is half Romanian and it's not Emma Raducanu. That's absolutely spot on. Well done, Stella. So I have not included her in my presentation just because we share some of our genetic background, but also because she speaks Chinese too, exactly. So if you remember this moment, it was now a couple of years ago when she won the American, I'm not such a tennis fan, American Open, US Open. And there were at least 3 nations that claimed that this person belongs to. So the Romanians, oh, she is Romanian. The Chinese said, no, she's Chinese. And of course, the British, where she actually grew and she played for, they said she was British. So what I wanted to point out with choosing her is that multilingual children can be extremely successful, and it's really important that we support them in their multilingual journey, because if we don't put that support into place, there can be, research has proven that there can be certain traumas associated with it, or certain personality, where we call it split personality disorders. That's just a little bit about the reasoning why we should be helping children with multilingual identity. So I am struggling to move on again onto my next slide, but I'm going to keep on trying, and I'm going to start talking to you about the project I have led in my school, and what I have actually done. So I will just retry one more time too. So I will stop the share and I'll reshare my PowerPoint with you, because I do not understand why it keeps on crashing. There you go, PowerPoint slide share. Please give me some thumbs up if you can see my screen or my presentation. Oh, excellent, thank you. I'll do a new share from beginning. Thank you very much. You're an absolute. So I'm just going to move it from here. So the results, the findings, so I'll share a slideshow from beginning, from current slide. Right, there we go. We moved on. So findings, what I found out after asking the questions of how the children represent themselves. The children who speak 2 languages or more due to their personal circumstances regard and represent their bilingual or multilingual selves, what their attitude, emotion in relation to the language they speak in various contexts are. I found out that the parent contribution was absolutely outstanding, and that made the most of the difference. However, that is not really fair thinking about, we are educators, and it's not really fair for these children. So parents' contribution through online classes, visit to the country of origin, interaction with family members and friends were all pivotal, and they were the main engine to maintain their connection with their heritage languages. So in the projects, how can we help as teachers, as educational agents, how can we help these children construct and build around their multilingual identity? One of the methods that I have used, and it has been widely used by a researcher, is something that's called the LPS, and this stands for Language Portrait Silhouette. Based on that, we conducted some interviews, which maybe in a classroom level will take the pardon me, we'll call it maybe show and tell. The bringing of artifacts, language of the moment. If you're not familiar with that, then I will show a couple of examples of what that actually means. We use parents questionnaire, parent-led clubs, language clubs, or intervention, food festival where we publish a recipe book, and obviously assemblies where we celebrate the cultural and linguistic diversity. Now, a little bit more about LPS. Language Portrait Silhouette is a multimodal narrative which has a strong visual element, and it has been used by researchers like Ibrahim or Dressler. Ibrahim, when she used this method, was based in Paris. Dressler is a Canadian researcher. And what Dressler and later on developed on that, I have asked the children to draw and color in the languages you speak and place them on the silhouette of the body where you think they are in your body. And after the children have produced these language portrait silhouettes, I have asked them. So we conducted some semi-structured interviews. And I've asked them, what languages have you drawn on your gingerbread men? What symbols have you used to represent those languages? What colors have you chosen to represent the different languages you speak? Whether these colors have a certain significance, and you can try to guess whether the colors did mean something or not. And obviously, why have you chosen these colors? Now, a couple of samples here of what the children have produced. And as I said, as you saw the table at the beginning, I had quite a few children, so I had to interpret that data, and I have organized it in well, shall we say it in a couple of pillars, because what they actually all had in common, as you can probably spot. Let's see if anybody would like to put that into the chat. What do you think? What do the two of the ones that present here, 2 out of the 14, what do they have in common? So while you're trying to type, I'll just keep on talking. So they do have in common, so they had in common lots of flags. They will have in common food, lots of food elements. So food is something really important to identity, to establishing a culture, lots and lots of animals. So the data that I've obtained, okay, I'm just trying to move on. The data that I've obtained from there, so I've organized it under three. I've organized it under 3 pillars, and they've actually showed us the combination. They showed us that for the children is very important the place, their experience, and their expertise rely on how long they've actually been exposed. So you probably won't be. I'm not able to share with you all the gingerbread men or language portrait silhouettes that the children have produced, but clothing items were quite often included. There were kurta pajamas, lenga for Hindi, poncho for South American. The food, with regards to the food representation, most children gave at least one example, obviously, of typical dishes. Lots of them listed several examples. Some children were very keen to actually specify things that they, although specific to their culture, they dissociated from. So, for example, I think you can see here on the Ecuadorian, en Ecuador comen hoyos, pero yo no. So then in Ecuador, people do eat guinea pigs, but the person who actually filled in this language portrait, they said they are not doing that. It was very interesting also to see that children were able to use different scripts. They were able to write, not just speak, but they're also able to write in their heritage languages, and they do use the different scripts, like, I don't know, Chinese script, Nagari scripts, and so on. Prior to those interviews, and again, my presentation is struggling, so I'll share it again. Prior to those interviews, the children were actually asked to bring some artifacts as well. So why did I ask them to bring artifacts? Because I wanted to find out what they found representative for each of the languages they speak. The explanation of the artifact choice took place also during the semi-structured interview, which at a classroom level can take the form of a show and tell. And this added another dimension because it was completed the picture of what the children's linguistic identity looks like. Bringing in the artifacts emphasizes the variable and personal nature of social construction and adds a tangible element to the children's individuality. At the same time, why it's important to use artifacts because surpasses children's potential language limits of expression, and it's something that it's not something they have created, but it will allow them to draw more on their culture and social background. And just because my computer is again playing, I will stop sharing and I will share again, hopefully, and take you straight to the straight to the artifacts to the artifact slide. Really apologize for that. I did not, I've tried it before and there were no problems, and all of a sudden now there are. Sharing options. There we go. We're back to that one and we're going to move on. Please, thank you. No, doesn't really want to, so I will stop again and go back. My apologies. I do not understand why it's actually not working this time properly. I think it's quite important that actually it will be quite nice for you to be able to see. No, doesn't really want to. Okay, so I might just have to actually move it on from here. Right, I'm moving it on from here so you can see a couple of the artifacts the children have brought. Please put some thumbs up. Thank you very much for bearing with me. Please put some thumbs up if you actually can see the artifacts. I will try to put the screen again, full screen, but I do not know whether that's going to stop it again for actually sharing with you. It does work. So thank you so much. So as you can see, the children were keen to come and show. So for example, African cloth or an Ecuadorian poicho or something, a Nigerian dress, which was called Oye. Now on the next slide, I have a couple of more artifacts. So children always brought, as you can see, books or trophies that were worn in the country of let's say the heritage culture. Now I'm going to focus my attention on the two pictures right in the middle. If you do recognize, for example, that painted stone, what the symbol on that painted stone, just please put it in the chat. I know this is probably, I don't know where the internet connection is because I'm trying to, is more interactive session. Please put in the chat on the Q&A. Do you recognize, yes or no? Do you recognize? So thumbs up, or if you recognize those, that symbol. Any thumbs up? I think those are, yeah, chat. Somebody's written something, yeah. An eye, yes, it does look an eye. Yes, it is. It does look like an eye. So it is apparently really specific to the Turkish culture because, as you probably remember, I had 4 children who had a Turkish background, Turkish heritage. And out of these 4, 3 of them have brought something that was connected to that, and it's called the evil eye. Now the explanation, I'm just going to find the exact words of the girl who's pictured over there, Ekrin, what she has actually said about the Turkish evil eye. Is it what it meant for her? We believe that the evil eye protects us from the evil and it brings us good luck. So the eye is looking at the evil and collecting them and leaving them to do something else, like releasing it. Similarly, for Shaumita, who spoke Hindi, and I do not have actually a picture of her in here, um, she brought an artifact which is called the bindi, and according to her, this has to be placed on the head and is said to bring energy to the wearer. The person who brought the painted stone, if you are from the UK, you might actually be familiar with the painted stone trails that were developed during COVID. It was just that inherent human need to communicate and get in touch with each other, where people were painting stones and then leaving them on their walks when they were out to get out, for other people to find. And if you wanted to collect one of these rocks, you'll bring it to you, or you will move it somewhere else where you went. Now, Daphne, the way she has actually came to understand and express her identity was, she said to me that this painted rock is obviously a very English, I don't know, please let me know, as you're coming from Portugal, let me know if this is something that was done in Portugal as well. It said she saw it as a very English tradition, but she decided that to paint on a stone the evil eye, and just leave it around so all the bad things get put somewhere else. So that's the way that these children who speak one or more than two languages or more, they try to marry their own double or triple or so and so on identity. And I have got, conscious a little bit of the time, I have got a couple of examples of what the children have said. So Azra mentions that that she likes using her heritage language as a secret language. While, for example, she plays football, she has a couple of friends who speak the same language. The children's drawings underline the specific relationship with the different countries and the different languages. Now, probably if you're from the UK, 11th of November, which was yesterday, represented England with poppy flowers because she was born in the 11th of November, which in the British calendar is an important commemorative day. As I stated, poppies are famous because people go around with them. So that is another way of actually trying to assimilate this hybrid identity. Definitely who has family living in France, stated, I'm sort of French because my auntie lives in France and I speak a lot of French. Now, in order to understand even better the children perspective, we also I've also sent some questionnaires to the parents, and all parents have responded, and we wanted to kind of corroborate and see whether there is a correspondence in the data that we obtained from the children and the parents. And it was really interesting to show that the children negotiate their multilingual identity starting from their cultural affiliation to different contexts, and underline a creative role in reshaping this identity, to regurgitating cultural concepts and giving a new and different life in a different context, like it was with the poppies or with the evil eye. But obviously, all of this is also supported a lot by their parents. So the children's language were connected very much to their individual family, where individuals are seen as the child themselves, but also their individual context created by the people who are around them, supporting, nurturing this growth. Languages the children spoke were seen as spaces, were linked to different spaces, seen as places, and the expertise depended on the experience and extent the children were practicing their heritage language. And this is where the parents had a tremendous role. Because they will, from their questionnaires, they actually said, yes, I'm encouraging my child, I'm doing this with my child, he's doing online lessons, I'm practicing with them whenever I can. But from the researchers and from the school perspective, it was really quite important to see what else can we do to actually help. So I'm going to whiz this because I'm getting quite conscious of time, and I can see I want to leave some time for chat and questions if there are any. The parents wanted us to educate the children on different cuisines and eating cultures, as you can see on this slide, because children have faced challenges if they're actually eating different things, and the other children did not understand the type of food that is there, and they were maybe a little bit unkind about that. So as a school, we came up with the idea of creating, or coming with we came up with the idea of doing a food festival, which are now quite popular, widely used in the UK. So what you can see over there, please put thumbs up if you can see the pictures, if you can make, because my PowerPoint has really been, I think it's something to do with my internet connection, has really been playing up. So that is the quad of the school I work at the moment. And we had, since we started it straight after COVID, parents and the school community and the teachers, they can't wait for the food festival to take place. In fact, I just organized one last Friday. There are people who come back again and again. Parents cook and bring this lovely food in the school, and we share it. Other parents buy tickets and buy the food, and they come and enjoy the food. It's an absolutely lovely, lovely atmosphere. And what I like the most about that is that children that at the beginning maybe were reluctant to try certain foods, they will have a go, and they will realize, oh, actually, I'm really, really enjoying that. Now, I know on one of my slides, I've also spoken to you about the language of the moment. And just because the parents, I'll go quickly back into the food festival, because the parents loved it so much, we decided that and they keep on asking about the recipes, we decided we're going to come up and we're going to produce a recipe book. And in that recipe book, we've also included information about the language and the countries where that recipe came from. So we called it The Language of Food. It's a recipe book. It has Nigerian jollof rice, Turkish dill buns, and all sorts. Let me just see. A recipe book. It's called Recipe Book and Beyond. And you can see, for example, the information about who speaks Ukrainian, a couple of simple, useful phrases that you can actually say welcome, hello, goodbye, good morning, that you can make people feel obviously welcome and included, and make sure they belong. Now, the very last slide. So obviously the press got hold of our food festival. They wanted to write about it, so it was made known to the wider community. And just because I am now, I think probably 10 more minutes until the session could potentially end, I'm just going to do a quick wrap up, and I will go into the chat and the question and answers. So I have talked to you about why it's important to support the children's multilingual identity, how it can be done. So I included the researcher's perspective, and also what the children thought about what is going on for them, children and parents, and how the schools can actually help contribute and support the construction of the children's multilingual identity. So LPS, language portrait silhouette, interview, show and tell, artifacts, ask the children to bring in artifacts which can take the place of the show and tell, language of the moment. If you have any more questions, or if you'd like any examples of how the language of the moment goes, or if you'd like to get some of our books, please let me know. I'll share with you in a moment my email address. Get in touch. I'm happy to post it. I'm happy to post it to you. Obviously, contacting the parents, getting in touch with them, asking what they think, what they believe. What else can we do as educators, as schools, to actually support multilinguals and language identity and language identity building. So thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. I will just put my last slide in there, and I will come and consult with the chat and the Q&A. So there you've got my email. Please write it down if you're interested on seeing and having some of those books. So here we go. I'm just looking at it. Has done wonderful work in this area. Flags, color the flag. Thank you, Anna. You seem to be really familiar with that. Evil Eye, very good. The Eye, Fatima. This is definitely the super project. This is definitely an eye. You saw it in Greece as well. Yes, the Mediterranean area. That's probably more than one country would use it. Other countries, that the region, Turkey, Cyprus, Greece. There we go. Excellent. I'm going to move now onto the Q&A section. I'm sure many of us have friends from different cultures. What can we do to value children's different cultural backgrounds outside outside schools? So Stella, to that question, so outside schools, there are I'm not quite so sure anymore where are you based, but it's, for example, in the UK, so I don't think it's just the case for the UK. There are lots of complementary schools. They have done quite a lot of research into how and researchers have looked into this complementary school. You're an SOL teacher, okay, into these complementary schools, and it is a little bit left upon the community, as you probably, it's a little bit left upon the community to organize, put money into that, and see how they develop their children's language skills, or around events, cultural events that they provide. So if you think about Arabic schools, Saturday or Sunday Arabic schools, and there are the same Polish schools, there are Romanian online schools. There is lots of things happening online with online schooling. The name of the Costa's book is Bilingual, How the Bilingual Brain Works. I haven't quite got it right next to me here. I will, but if you Google Costa, how bilingual brain, I think that's it. I think that's what it is. Excellent. Any more? I'll go in there. I'll go back into the chat box. Thank you very much for joining me. It's been a pleasure to chat to you about this. If you have any other comments, if you'd like me to go back to certain slides, because I really feel like I wish through, that'll be great. Do let me know. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening. One new message. I'm coming back. I do hope you have enjoyed these 3 days of conference. I have popping in and out. I've been popping in and out of talks. It's always really interesting to listen to other participants, to listen to other speakers, see that we're all on the same page, and see that we get new different ideas of doing things, or just kind of being reinforced that we are doing kind of the right thing, if there is such a thing. Right, thank you very much. I still got 11 participants. Any more questions? I'll go back to the Q&A box. Bilingual brain. Brain, there we go. Thank you very much for joining me. I think we've got a couple of more minutes. Well, 3 more minutes. Do let me know if you have any other questions. If you'd like me to go back to something to clarify, would be great. And apologies for I don't know what's actually happened with my PowerPoint or my internet connections. Have a lovely afternoon. Enjoy the remaining of the talks today. For taking part in any more. Excellent. Thank you very much. I think I will probably chat one more new. I do not have a link. I will just put this on. I don't know if I don't have a link. I think you can actually, I don't have a link for the Bilingual Brain. It's a book, if you actually put into Google, appears straight away. You can read a small description of what the book is about, but I think the book is really worth reading in its entirety, and thinking that it actually comes from a researcher. Is written in very easy, accessible language, and you will probably find it extremely, well, I found it extremely entertaining, easy read, even if you actually want to read it like kind of your bedtime sort of read. So I'd recommend it even like a bedtime read. because it's written in a very accessible language. And I was fascinated about Costa is the author. Yes, Costa is the author. Makes all the, shall we say, intricacies of the brain explained in a very easy, accessible way. And I was amazed by the creativity to which even babies can actually be subjected to kind of experiments to see what is actually going on in their brain. So and how they are processing and reacting to different languages. So yes, please keep on I don't know, practice your many different languages, many different way of thinking. Always really enriching and really lovely to have you with me this afternoon. Thank you very much. I think we have, well, it is 4 o'clock, but I have been told, thank you for your thumbs up, thank you for your claps and for your hearts. It's really lovely. It's actually very different to be talking to a computer than to face-to-face people. So if you have any more questions, please let me know. I can still see 6 participants, so I will stop the share. Let's see if I can actually see anybody. No. And I will probably now, let me see, still 6 participants in there. I will probably attend this 4. Thank you very much for joining. Have a lovely rest of your weekend. Thank you. I do not want to actually shut the call on anybody. So if you actually think you've got any more questions, please let me know.